Hey guys, this is Ben Niffen here, and I'd like to welcome you to the training on positioning your profile to increase engagement and conversions. And what this really is this is going to be the best way to tell your brand's story on LinkedIn. So now that you've completed the brand identity workbook, I want to talk to you about how you can create a deeper connection with your audience and drive them to want to do business with you. So let's take a look at what the end goal is, right? More customers, more revenue. The more customers you get, the more money you can get. Well, how do we do this exactly? How do we get to this end goal? Well, it starts with the LinkedIn profile, right? Because this is what's going to start to fully align with it's the first piece of property that we need to get to align with your brand's identity, your brand's message. So we want to get those two synced up. Okay. And then from there, it's going to allow us to connect with our audience on LinkedIn in a more meaningful way and a more successful way. It will allow us to develop a solid content and messaging strategy. Okay. And it will allow us to nurture and build relationships on a deeper level using the automated software that is provided with you with this training. So the focus of this video is getting your profile aligned and ready to go. Now, one thing to remember that your LinkedIn profile shouldn't be positioned around you or your company. And we're going to talk about some of these things in a second, but there's a difference between showing social proof and just talking about yourself constantly. All right. The reason why this is an important distinction is because your audience doesn't care about you and who you are per se. Okay, they are more concerned with figuring out how to reach their goals and get rid of the pain points that they're experiencing. So how do we do that? Like, we can talk about ourselves in that way, but if we're not telling stories that relate to our prospects, they're not going to care. And so again, that's why you position your profile around your audience's wants and needs. You show them the value that they can get when working with you or buying your products. So what do the best converting and most powerful LinkedIn profiles do? Well, they do a few things, okay? First, they clearly identify their target audience and personas, right? This is going to be so key to really creating a successful campaign here, is that our profile needs to be able to relate to that target audience. It's also going to highlight audience pain points and highlight your unique selling proposition, your USP, all right? It's going to call out what differentiates you from your competitors. And then the third thing it's going to do is tell a story that is actionable and relatable. It's got to speak to your audience. It's got to make them want to do business with you. That story is an important thing that needs to weave in fluidly throughout your profile. And we'll take a look at some examples about how to do that here in a second. Before we get to anything that resembles a huge chunk of copy, like the summary section or anything like that, really this all starts with the LinkedIn headline, right? It's one of the first things people see when looking at your profile. So I want to give you some tips here on what to think about when creating this headline. A good thing to do is to call out your target audience directly. Who are you speaking to? That benefit statement that you created in the brand identity workbook, use that. If you've done that correctly, that should be a good basis for your headline. You want to be specific. You want to be concise, all right? So let's take a look at a few examples of how this can be done here. So if you look at this first headline here from Joan Stewart, she does a lot of things very well here. First of all, let's just look at the headline. Top publicity expert teaches authors, speakers, and experts how to get free publicity and create raving fans. So a lot of times what people are commonly changing their headline from is something that says, I hold this position at this company. Joan doesn't do that here. Now, she still gives some social proof, top publicity expert, but then everything else ends up being about the other people, right? So she's clearly identifying her target audience, which is great. Speakers, experts, authors, those people, she highlights exactly who she's working for. And she highlights their pain points. We know that these people need help with publicity, and sometimes working with some sort of publicity agency, a PR firm, it can be expensive. She'll teach you how to do it for free and create raving fans. So now she's separated herself from her competitors, PR firms, and she's really highlighted what her USP is, that she teaches these people how to get free publicity. And again, telling that story that is actionable and relatable. Well, she puts this thing at the end about creating raving fans. So it's like tying the whole thing together. This story is going to continue throughout her profile, but it starts here in the headline. So let's take a look at the next headline. Now, this is another really solid headline. Andrew Baker's headline: Virtual CIO providing expert technology services, information security, IT operations, IT strategy for the small business market. So immediately, clearly identifies his target audience and personas. He's going after the small business market. So what do these people usually have as their pain points? Well, typically they're not big enough companies that they can staff a full-time CIO, but they have these technology problems that they need to handle. They can't have somebody who's always coming on site. They can't have somebody staff full-time. Well, Andrew solves that. First of all, he's virtual. He doesn't have to even be at the location. And that also kind of gets to the point that he doesn't even need to be full-time. He can come in and help you without costing you a bunch of money on the things that are important to you. And he lists those out: information security, IT operations, IT strategy. What he didn't write is CIO for hire. That's what a lot of people would write. This guy takes a different approach. Andrew is very concise about telling that story that is actionable and relatable. He's highlighting his audience pain points. He's highlighting his USP and his differentiator. He's clearly identifying his target audience. This is a very good headline. Now, these next two headlines I'm going to show you, they're still good, but I'm going to show you some headlines that could be better. So first of all, we have Bruce Kramer. The first thing he does is write financial advisor. That is, to me, a little bland, right? Because all these people identify themselves as financial advisors, okay? So our first two examples, we didn't see owner of PR agency, or we didn't say CIO at this company, right? They describe themselves in a way that spoke to their audience more. Financial advisor, that makes it seem like he's just like everybody else out there. So that's an example of how you could highlight your USP a little differently. He starts to deal with that when he says helping you build confidence in your financial future. That is the story that we need to build on here. Okay, Bruce has a good line here. I just think it could be expanded on a little bit more. Then he provides his phone number. That's an interesting play. It's a call to action there. But I don't know what I'm even going to get if I call this phone number, right? So I would probably lose the phone number and the financial advisor and get back to the who are you helping to build confidence in their financial future? And when you are helping them, how are you helping them? How are you helping to build this confidence? Again, speaking to the USP there. All right. So let's look at the last example I have here, which is Sherilyn Colby. So she's a business SEO expert. She's a nationally recognized business marketing expert, helping businesses get more customers. So that's an important one right there, helping businesses get more customers. I think that is something that every business, they struggle with. It's important to them. It's a pain point. Right? Nationally recognized business marketing expert, showing some social proof there. I think that she could hit this point a little bit harder, but this is a good example of a headline that is highlighting those pain points, highlighting a USP, and it's beginning to tell the story there. So the next bit is the summary section. And this is where you're going to be building off of your headline to create that engaging story. There's some things to keep in mind here. You want to identify those pain points and challenges your prospects are experiencing. You're going to expand upon that in this section. You want to state the key benefits to what you are offering. and it's got to be relatable to them and their business, okay? You're also letting them know that you can help solve their problems, again, in a way that is relating to their business. You're not saying that you should work with me because I'm awesome. Let me tell you how awesome I am. I can do all these things. It's got to be in a way that's saying, you have these problems. You need this help. Okay, I am an expert in this area that provides this help to businesses that are struggling with this. You don't want to struggle with this. I can help you with this. You can see the difference between the two. And you need to include some sort of call to action. Let's look at some examples of some summary sections here. This first one, we can see here just by the first sentence, okay? We don't even see who the person is or see their company or anything like that. They clearly outline their unique selling proposition. Comprehensive pre- and post-liquidity planning and customized wealth management services for private business owners and successful families on a national basis. He gets even more detailed in the second paragraph where he talks about working with owners of companies that are valued between 10 million and 500 million while striving to protect them from unnecessary taxes. So right there, he starts highlighting who he's working for and the pain points he helps alleviate. In the, fourth paragraph, he starts talking about incorporating this personal family perspective. And then he starts telling a story. When I was a child, my family experienced a significant liquidity event resulting. And then he goes into the story and talks about, he gives this relatable story to show people, hey, I have been through this. If you're experiencing this, I can help. Okay. Very good summary there. So let's look at another example. Here we go. This you can tell, again, not even by looking at the whole entire profile, who has written this summary. Dear executive job seeker, would you like to cut your job search length by 10 to 20 months or more? This is probably written from a recruiter, right? And she shows, I shouldn't say she, I don't know who it is. He or she shows some stats here saying the pain point that people can experience while searching for an executive job. So a really good job of highlighting those pain points. And then saying that this person can help. If you want a new role in 2014, they need to obviously update their copy. But if you want to land your job in the next 2 to 8 months, I can help. I help my clients, and then showing what does this person do. More social proof down there, closer to the bottom, is a quadruple certified executive career and job search coach, executive resume writer, and LinkedIn strategist, more than 30 years of experience. So some social proof there. But you can see before this person even gets to anything about them, they are focusing entirely on the prospect here. So another good example of a good summary section. So let's look at another one here. This is from a marketing agency. So the first sentence here, finding new customers, which is the lifeblood of your business, should not be so difficult. Immediately hitting, the pain point that people get that they run into when they're running a business. Okay, this should not be so hard. Radiant Storm, this person's company, is different from every other internet marketing or SEO agency out there. And then starts to list the differentiators. And it speaks to the prospect that they are going after using their language, okay? They have a really good example of a call to action here that they can set up a consultation where you can call this person at this number, or email me your best phone number and best time to contact you. And then Michael, you can see there, lists his email address, which is really good. What's interesting is this section here in the middle that says, would you like to see how your competitors are profitably stealing customers from you? That is such compelling copy, and it tells a certain story that it really hooks a person in. So another great example of a summary section that really tells a story and is not just bland, here's my company, we do this, we do this, we do this. Okay. Last one, we have a summary section from a business coach, and you can tell the position that this person is taking. First of all, this person, if you read through his summary section, he has military background. And so he's tying that into the story. This is a positioning play that he's using, talking about business as a combat sport. He's named his business after this, Combat Business Coaching. He's the best-selling author of these books, providing more social proof, and then crafts a story that is going to hook in the reader about the lessons that this person has learned over the years that will help improve his prospects' businesses. So another good way to tell the story here, and you can see how he has crafted this narrative around the Army experience and combat and those sorts of things. Remember that the best LinkedIn profiles, they align your profile itself with your brand's message to produce the best results. Okay, these profiles are clearly going to identify your target audience and personas. They're going to highlight your audience pain points and your USP or your differentiator, and they're going to tell a story that is actionable and relatable. And these are all important to keep in mind when crafting your profile. So now that you have seen this, it's time to go update your profile and create that story. And remember all the key points that we talked about here in this lesson. Rely on those to figure out what is the right copy and narrative that you want to read throughout your profile. And once you're done from there, you can move on to the next lesson.